Mercedes has long been seen as the pinnacle of performance and luxury. However, as of late, the brand's entire future is in jeopardy. Their huge bet on electric vehicles is rapidly unraveling, and sales are falling. The inquiry is, how did this occur? How did the once eminent brand of elegance become less competitive? Are Mercedes vehicles no longer the same as they used to be? Has their electric revolution come to an end already? What does this mean for you, the buyer? Above all else, keep an eye out because what comes next will completely upend the auto industry. What's going on? The entire auto industry is feeling the aftershocks of Mercedes-Benz's recent shocking announcement that profits are falling. Mercedes-Benz, a brand known for its elegance, sophistication, and state-of-the-art engineering, is currently at the epicenter of a crisis that is affecting the entire industry. The German automaker disclosed a concerning decline in their profit margins in their most recent financial report. A year ago, the margin was steady and enviable at 10%, but now it is at a dangerous 4.7%. This sharp decline is a warning sign that is echoing throughout the automotive industry, not just a financial blip. The ramifications of this decline extend well beyond Mercedes-Benz. The industry as a whole is affected when a titan like Mercedes falters. Dealerships, customers, and rivals are all keeping a close eye on things and waiting to see what happens next. However, what specifically led to this seismic change? How did a business that used to be synonymous with performance and luxury end up in such a vulnerable position? A number of audacious but incorrect choices hold the key to the solution. Mercedes-Benz made a bold move into the electric vehicle market, placing a large wager on the EQ series to ensure their place in the increasingly environmentally conscious market. But this gamble is falling apart more quickly than anyone anticipated. These expensive electric cars are accumulating on dealership lots, unsold and unwanted, rather than transforming the market. Furthermore, this is a wake-up call for the entire auto industry, not just one particular business. Let's examine how the EQ series, which was initially heralded as the luxury vehicle of the future, came to represent Mercedes-Benz's difficulties. The EQ series bet went bad. The EQ series, which was supposed to be the luxury of the future, has turned into a financial nightmare for Mercedes-Benz. In the era of electricity, the EQ series was meant to redefine luxury. Mercedes invested billions in R&D to create svelte, cutting-edge models like the EQS and EQB. These cars had state-of-the-art features, innovative battery technology, and a dedication to sustainability. It appeared to be a successful formula on paper. In actuality, it has been an enormous miscalculation. Dealership lots are currently overflowing with unsold EQ models, some of which have been sitting idle for more than 500 days. Imagine passing the same gleaming, immaculate car every day for almost 2 years. This is more than just embarrassing for a company like Mercedes-Benz. It is a clear indication that something has gone very wrong. The cars themselves are unquestionably impressive. But that is not the only issue. Their exorbitant price tags are the problem. As an illustration, the flagship EQS has a sticker price of more than $135,000. Even wealthy buyers are objecting, even though this might seem reasonable in the world of ultra-luxury cars. For many customers, the value proposition just doesn't add up, particularly when rivals like Tesla provide similarly cutting-edge electric cars at a significantly lower price. The problem is made worse by range anxiety and inadequate charging infrastructure. Given the limitations of the current charging networks, buyers who may be interested in purchasing an electric vehicle are reluctant to make the commitment. Mercedes-Benz's bold risk on the EQ series hasn't paid off. Instead, it's a financial liability that is hurting the business. This is about Mercedes-Benz's complete miscalculation of the market, not just about unsold cars. However, unsold cars are not the end of this crisis. It is causing a chain reaction of issues that are severely taxing dealerships worldwide. Dealerships at the point of breaking. It's not only inconvenient, but disastrous to walk into a Mercedes dealership and see rows of unsold cars. The overproduction of EQ models and other expensive cars is making things a nightmare for Mercedes-Benz dealerships. These dealerships, which serve as an essential conduit between the car maker and its clientele, are currently stranded with unsold inventory. Unsold cars are crammed into parking lots, with some of them parked on grassy fields due to a lack of available space. Dealerships are under a great deal of financial strain. Many are being forced to give steep discounts on their current stock in order to make room for new inventory. Profit margins are reduced, and the exclusivity of the brand is harmed. When a luxury car is drastically reduced in order to make room, it loses its appeal as a once prestigious and aspirational symbol. The financials are not the only issue. The sheer number of unsold cars puts a strain on dealership resources due to logistical issues. Regular maintenance is necessary to keep idle cars showroom ready, which raises the cost. Salespeople are left to fight to persuade consumers that these discounted models are still worth the higher price. The relationship between Mercedes-Benz and its dealerships is being strained by this discrepancy between what the company produces and what customers desire. A growing number of dealers are demanding more practical production methods and improved support. Since dealerships are at the forefront of the automotive industry, the entire brand suffers when they falter. Furthermore, this conflict is endangering the core of Mercedes-Benz's international operations, in addition to harming dealerships. As dealerships struggle with these issues, rivals are taking advantage of the opportunity to close the gap. The smell of opportunity by rivals like Tesla, Rivian, and BMW are advancing quickly with audacious plans and superior execution while Mercedes falters. The market for luxury cars is extremely competitive, and competitors are keen to take advantage of the gap Mercedes-Benz's mistakes have created. Tesla, in particular, has risen to prominence in the electric vehicle industry by providing cutting-edge vehicles at competitively low costs. The Tesla Model Y and Model 3 have drawn a large following by fusing state-of-the-art technology with an affordable price range. Then there are more recent firms like Lucid Motors, which is establishing itself as a direct rival to Mercedes-Benz, with high-performance luxury electric sedans, and Rivian, which is specializing in electric utility vehicles. Conventional rivals like BMW and Audi, meanwhile, are adopting a more balanced strategy and keeping their investments in both combustion engine and electric cars. As Mercedes tries to establish itself, this enables them to serve a larger spectrum of customers. Global rivals are also taking advantage of the circumstance, especially in China. In addition to being more reasonably priced, electric vehicles from companies like BYD and NIO are also better suited to regional markets. Mercedes-Benz is having a harder time competing in these important markets because of its European-centric pricing and design approach. The entire automotive hierarchy is changing as a result of this, not just competition. Please remember to like this video and tune in for part 2, where we go into greater detail about how this crisis is affecting the entire industry, if you find this story as fascinating as we do. Make sure to like this video if you're enjoying this in-depth look at the difficulties Mercedes-Benz and the automotive sector are facing. The industry-wide error in EV prediction. Mercedes-Benz is not alone. Numerous automakers have placed significant bets on electric cars, but the gamble hasn't turned out as expected. The promise of a cleaner, greener future that would transform our perception of driving was evident when the automotive industry made the commitment to electric vehicles. However, what started out as a revolution has devolved into a convoluted, disorganized shift that even the major players are finding difficult to manage. The problems with Mercedes-Benz's EQ series are only the beginning. Legacy automakers like BMW and Volkswagen are in a similar situation, with excess inventory of luxury EVs sitting in showrooms as demand falls short of projections. These companies invested billions in the development of EVs, but they made a crucial error. They overestimated the rate at which consumers would adopt this new technology. The infrastructure, or lack thereof, is the issue, not just the cars. Because charging stations are still less common than gas stations, consumers may experience range anxiety. Despite their advancements, EVs are unable to satisfy drivers, who are concerned about running out of power during a lengthy journey, not to mention the expenses. Because EVs are so much more expensive than conventional cars with combustion engines, buyers are having a hard time justifying the higher cost. The outcome? A market that can't fulfill the promise of widespread EV adoption because it's overpriced and overstocked. This error in judgment is not only causing problems for the industry, it is also negatively affecting consumers' wallets. The reasons behind rising auto prices. Car prices are soaring, whether they are new or used, and Mercedes-Benz's problems are a major factor. The entire auto industry is being impacted by Mercedes-Benz's overproduction of expensive EVs and its incapacity to sell them at full price. Mercedes-Benz and other manufacturers must find a way to make up for their losses, which frequently entails raising prices for customers. Consequently, all car prices are increasing. In the United States, the average cost of a new car has now topped $45,000. This makes the dream of owning a new car more and more unattainable, even for buyers who aren't considering luxury cars. However, it doesn't end there. Because fewer people can now afford new cars, there is a greater demand for used cars, which raises prices in the secondary market. This creates a vicious cycle for the average consumer. Because more people are keeping their cars longer due to higher prices, there are fewer trade-ins and a further shortage of used cars. Everyone, not just luxury buyers, now finds it difficult to purchase a car due to the trickle-down effect. This is a sign that the entire automotive industry is going through a significant transition, not just a pricing problem. Additionally, dealerships are experiencing their own existential crisis as customers struggle with growing expenses. Dealerships and apparel dealerships are fighting to survive a perfect storm of unsold inventory and deteriorating trust behind the pristine showrooms. Dealerships have long been at the forefront of the automotive sector, but they are currently embroiled in a conflict that could endanger their very survival between manufacturers and consumers. The company's errors are primarily being felt by Mercedes-Benz dealerships. Dealership lots are dominated by rows of unsold EQ models and expensive luxury vehicles, leaving little space for models that might actually sell. Dealerships are cutting prices, sometimes by tens of thousands of dollars, to get rid of this excess inventory. Although this might temporarily increase car sales, it reduces profit margins and damages Mercedes-Benz's reputation as an exclusive brand. After all, when a luxury car is being marked down like a clearance item, it doesn't feel quite as luxurious. One can feel the financial strain. The expenses of keeping unsold inventory, which include depreciation and routine maintenance, are too high for many dealerships to handle. This is a trigger point for smaller dealerships. Unable to withstand the storm, some are already closing their doors. But unsold cars are only one aspect of the issue. The gap between what Mercedes-Benz produces and what customers truly desire is widening. Dealerships are speaking out more and more about the need for improved manufacturer support and communication. Instead of the aspirational goals of corporate headquarters, they prefer production strategies that correspond with market demand. If this pattern keeps up, the way cars are sold and who thrives in this new environment may undergo significant change. Mercedes-Benz faces a different, possibly more significant challenge than dealerships: the loss of its once unshakable identity. The crisis of luxury. The definition of luxury has changed, and Mercedes-Benz is having difficulty redefining it. In the era of electric cars, Mercedes-Benz was the epitome of luxury for many years. Mercedes ownership was associated with sophistication, success, and status, in addition to being a means of transportation. However, Mercedes-Benz is finding it difficult to stay up with the changing definition of luxury in the market today. Today's consumers demand more than just high-end materials or a gaudy badge. They are looking for cutting-edge technology, value, and practicality at a price that seems fair. For instance, Tesla has won over customers who might have previously thought about Mercedes by making EVs both accessible and aspirational. Modern companies like Lucid Motors, on the other hand, are reinventing what a luxury EV can be by providing premium features and performance without the drawbacks of the past. Conversely, Mercedes-Benz finds itself in a difficult situation. Demand for their flagship luxury models, such as the venerable S-Class, has decreased as costs rise and rivals provide more reasonably priced options. However, some of their most devoted clients have become disenchanted with their aggressive push toward EVs. As a result, the brand feels more and more disconnected from what consumers truly desire. Mercedes-Benz runs the risk of losing not only sales, but also its brand if it is unable to adjust to this new definition of luxury. The issues Mercedes-Benz is facing affect the entire automotive sector, not just one particular business. Share this video with your friends and community if you're intrigued by this in-depth look at Mercedes-Benz's difficulties and their effects on the auto industry. Let's continue the discussion. When the EV bubble pops, has the EV market been overhyped? What was once thought to be the future is now a cautionary tale. Sustainability was the driving force behind the electric vehicle revolution, which promised a cleaner, greener future with lower emissions. Leading this change were automakers like Mercedes-Benz, who spent billions to guarantee their position in what they saw as the upcoming transportation era. However, it is becoming painfully evident that this dream has been based on shaky foundations, as the reality of widespread EV adoption sets in. The most obvious issue? The overproduction bubble. Specifically, Mercedes-Benz overestimated the market demand for high-end EVs. The EQ series, which combined the brand's sophistication with electric power innovation, was envisioned as a game-changer. They now stand unsold on dealership lots for months or even years, serving as symbols of excess instead. Even though these vehicles are packed with cutting-edge technology and premium features, buyers are still not persuaded to pay a premium price for them, particularly when rivals like Tesla provide similar performance and technology at a significantly lower cost. But Mercedes-Benz is not the only company experiencing an overproduction crisis. Similar problems are plaguing the entire EV market. The anticipated rapid adoption has not come to pass. Customers are still on the fence about whether or not electric cars are the best option. Many consumers are choosing to continue using conventional vehicles, postponing the transition to electric power, for a variety of reasons, including range issues, charging infrastructure, or just the expense. Furthermore, this isn't just a Mercedes problem. It's a mistake that the entire industry is now beginning to realize. What went wrong then? The market infrastructure and consumer readiness, which have both fallen short of the automaker's ambitious plans, hold the key to the solution. International markets react. 3 important markets and 3 significant challenges for Mercedes-Benz are China, Europe, and the United States. Mercedes-Benz's problems are global in nature, rather than localized. Mercedes dominated important international markets for many years, particularly in China, where high-end automobiles were seen as a sign of sophistication and success. However, Mercedes is finding it more and more difficult to hold on to its market share, due to the emergence of regional rivals and changes in consumer preferences. Local EV producers such as BYD and NIO have become strong rivals in China. These brands are better suited to the demands of Chinese consumers in addition to being more reasonably priced. They provide electric cars that satisfy the particular tastes of the market. These cars are reasonably priced and loaded with features that Chinese consumers find appealing. Conversely, Mercedes has suffered from its exorbitant costs and European-centric designs that don't appeal as much to regional tastes. The situation is the same in North America and Europe. The infrastructure needed to facilitate widespread adoption is falling behind the growing EV market. There are still few charging stations available, and range anxiety is still a major deterrent for prospective customers. Additionally, Mercedes-Benz's electric cars are expensive, making it hard for them to compete with cheaper models from Rivian, Tesla, and even more recent entrants like Lucid Motors. Not only is Mercedes suffering from this worldwide opposition, but the entire luxury automobile industry is being forced to reconsider its strategy. Mercedes-Benz needs to reevaluate its whole future plan as these difficulties grow. Can the business, however, move past these errors, or is it too late? Are Mercedes able to rebound? Is this the start of a daring new era for Mercedes-Benz, or is it the end of the company as we know it? Mercedes-Benz continues to persevere in the face of growing obstacles. The business is at a turning point and needs to change course to accommodate the evolving automotive market. However, what constitutes a successful recovery? Will Mercedes become a warning to other automakers, or can it regain its position as the leader in luxury? Mercedes could go in a number of directions. Reevaluating. Its approach to electric vehicles is the first step. The market for luxury electric vehicles is not as big as first thought, and the company must acknowledge this. Even though EV demand is clearly rising, Mercedes needs to match its production to meet real demand, because the luxury market is still a niche. This entails reducing the overproduction of expensive models, such as the EQS and EQB, which have resulted in an accumulation of inventory. Mercedes then needs to concentrate on increasing the accessibility of its electric cars. Pricing out most potential customers is a thing of the past. The business must figure out how to provide more reasonably priced electric models without compromising on style or innovation. Tesla and other competitors have shown that it is feasible to produce innovative, high-quality EVs at a lower cost. If Mercedes-Benz wants to stay competitive in this quickly evolving market, it must do the same. Last but not least, Mercedes must mend its ties with dealerships. The business has prioritized luxury cars over the general market for far too long. Mercedes can make sure that its vehicles are more in line with customer demand by offering better incentives, modifying production quotas, and assisting dealerships with improved marketing techniques. Mercedes-Benz has a chance to regain its position as the market leader in luxury cars if it can adjust to these developments, but there is not much time left. However, as the business searches within for answers, the more general query still stands. What does this crisis mean for customers? What it signifies to you? What does all of this confusion mean for the next car you buy? Knowing how these changes will impact you as the customer is crucial as Mercedes-Benz navigates this turbulent time. The price of cars, which is rising across the board, is the most obvious effect. Even more reasonably priced models are not exempt from this trend, even though luxury cars like Mercedes-Benz are seeing the biggest price increases. This implies that purchasing a new vehicle, whether it be an entry-level SUV or a luxury sedan, will cost more for consumers. More buyers will probably enter the used car market as a result of the lack of reasonably priced cars and the growing price of electric models. Finding a good deal will become even more challenging for those on a tight budget, as pre-owned car prices are predicted to rise in tandem with the demand for used cars. Important questions concerning the future of car ownership are also brought up by this change. Automakers may need to reconsider their tactics given the large number of consumers choosing used cars or postponing purchases entirely. Will manufacturers reduce production to meet more realistic demand, or will the push toward electric vehicles continue at its current pace? In summary, the future of automobile purchasing is unpredictable, so it is your responsibility to remain knowledgeable and flexible, whether you are purchasing a new or used vehicle. Please share your opinions about the current status of the auto industry and how you believe it will impact future purchases in the comments section below, if you have found these insights to be helpful. What do you think about the difficulties Mercedes-Benz is facing and the state of the auto industry going forward? Leave a remark below, and let's continue the discussion. The Mercedes-Benz road ahead. Mercedes is at a turning point. Will they become more well-known or become less so? The difficulties Mercedes-Benz is currently dealing with have put the business at a turning point in its history. The brand has been a representation of performance, luxury, and automotive excellence for many years. Mercedes must now make some difficult choices if it wants to keep up its standing as a leader in the luxury car industry in the face of fierce competition, a changing customer base, and a market that is changing. What does the future hold for Mercedes-Benz then? Reevaluating its approach to electric vehicles will be the first step. Mercedes-Benz needs to acknowledge that the market for premium luxury EVs is not as strong as anticipated, even though it is obvious that the future is electric. The business needs to concentrate on creating more reasonably priced electric models that appeal to a wider market. Mercedes-Benz might be able to carve out a lucrative niche for itself in the EV market if it can strike the correct balance between accessibility and luxury. Mercedes' relationship with dealerships is another important area that requires its attention. Dealerships have been the foundation of Mercedes-Benz's success for many years. These relationships have been strained, though, by the mismatch between production and demand. By offering improved assistance, incentives, and customer-focused marketing tactics, Mercedes-Benz needs to fortify its relationships with dealerships. Restoring consumer trust and increasing sales may be greatly aided by this cooperative strategy. Finally, Mercedes-Benz needs to keep coming up with new ideas. Continuous technological advancements will be necessary to stay ahead of the curve in the rapidly evolving automotive industry. Mercedes-Benz needs to innovate to stay at the forefront of the automotive industry. From fully autonomous cars to environmentally friendly production methods, they might just demonstrate that their legacy is far from over if they can stay up with the quickly changing market. Although Mercedes-Benz's future is uncertain, they could still regain their position as the market leader in luxury automobiles with the correct approach. However, what are the long-term effects of this change on consumers? How customers will influence the sector? You hold the power. What you purchase today will determine what is constructed tomorrow. Not only are automakers like Mercedes-Benz influencing the automotive industry's future, but you, the customer, are also playing a role. Car buyers have more power than ever in the current market. Your preferences, feedback, and purchase decisions have a direct impact on the industry's course. Customers are now active participants in the development of the automotive industry, rather than passive purchasers. Customer demand is driving the move toward more economical options, sustainable materials, and electric vehicles. The public's continued emphasis on sustainability will compel automakers to change and develop more inventive and ecologically friendly solutions. Conversely, the shift to electrification will be slowed down if customers express a preference for conventional gas-powered cars. This implies that cars will be more customized than ever for consumers in the future. Mercedes-Benz and other automakers must satisfy consumers seeking luxury and sustainability-balanced vehicles or risk losing their business. The cars of tomorrow will be influenced by the decisions you make today. Your current decisions are influencing how people will move around in the future, and you have the ability to influence how the automotive industry develops in the future. What will happen to the driving experience now that there is so much on the line? Driving is about to enter a new era that will be completely different from anything we have ever seen. Make sure to subscribe to our channel if you want to be informed about the most recent advancements in the automotive sector. As the future of cars develops, we'll keep you updated at every stage.